Hello and welcome to CLEA'S World. I am Clea, and today I would like to share with you more of the information I've received from a 25th dimension during my last QHHT Hypnosis session. I'll be reading from a transcript of the session, and when I refer to Lorrayne, I'm speaking of my practitioner who's asking me questions I prepared in advance of the session, unless she otherwise states. And when I refer to me, I'm speaking of myself under hypnosis, meaning that the answers are coming from the 25th. In this particular case, in reference to the first question, Lorrayne is actually putting in her own question that basically references what we had discussed in the last video, which is about the fact that we hate loss here. Even though we know intellectually that it is not real, we still hate it because this is the experience. We experience separation here, which means that we miss a person, an animal, or any loved one if they leave, because it is the loss, it is the interruption of our relationship, at least in this game, in this lifetime. And that's true whether we know that they already left, their essence is already left, so they are NPCs, or if they were still here, like in the past when we didn't know any of this. All right, so here's Lorrayne asking the 25th. It is interesting what we just discussed, because I know that my father, the NPC that was my father, is experiencing cancer. My brother is experiencing kidney failure. These are NPCs. They've already been in the 3D chambers living their best life. So when the NPC dies, we view it as a loss, although on some level, we know that they're living their best life. So it's very, very challenging on one level. On the other level, from the highest perspective, again, there is no loss. Me. Yes, but it is tough because remember, we are in the matrix, and therefore we do want to look at things from a game perspective. Now, we have acquired this conscious awareness, which allows us to at least put some pickets there and create some kind of a confine, of a limit to how we feel or how we allow ourselves to feel. But at the end of the day, our emotions are our emotions. So whether you know or don't know, how many times have we talked about the fact that you might know something consciously, but it does not mean that you truly know it and embody it. This is why we talk about the fact that we're going to have to do a lot of integration work, because one thing is knowing something, one thing is truly knowing something. Like you know it because it is what it is. And so it is very hard, with the exception of New Earth. It's very hard within the matrix to cope with this emotional piece, because we truly do enjoy each other. We truly do. That's the whole point. This is the hardest thing we're dealing with right now here at this time, is that we do enjoy each other, and our enjoyment has come to an end. And now we're doing all this work and we're doing it on our own. We feel very isolated. Now, we have set this up in a way where at least we would come into contact and do it as a group, and thank God. And of course, we have kinship because we have lived many lifetimes together. We know each other. We are friends. We've been friends for a very, 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 very long time. So that helps us. But when we go back to our own houses in 3D and we're isolated because we physically are isolated, and we deal with when we go outside, and many of us don't even have an essence around us. Clea is fortunate to actually have some essences around her, including her daughter and her cats, and that's it. And when she goes around, we do feel isolated because we're like, where are the people? Because even though you see them, you're like, but where are the people? So we understand that this is difficult, and it doesn't make it any less difficult to know that, well, it's not quite true. Because we feel. Our feelings, our personality, our emotions happen at NPC level. We already said that. Truly, the higher self doesn't have a personality. The higher self is not worried. It is a game. It's like, again, if we think about it as the higher self playing a chess game, you don't think of the pawns as, oh, the pawn is being knocked out. Oh, that is so sad. The higher self doesn't think of it that way. But at the same time, as the higher self is embodying one of the pawns and he gets knocked out, or his friend gets knocked out, he goes, oh man, right? So this is what we're obviously simplifying with this analogy. But we already talked about how complex these avatars are. And while this is a source of fun for us, it is also very much a source of distress. And case in point, the reason we're having so much resistance is because of this particular situation. So you actually asked the question, Lorrayne, where you said, and it was part of this question as well, is it because we're afraid of New Earth that we are still here? No, we're not afraid of New Earth. We're afraid of knowing right now. We're afraid of loss. We are afraid of what we believe, that death is real. We're afraid because we're in this game. That's what we're afraid of. This is what is driving our emotionality. And that is Max in the background affirming. She goes, yes. And she would know. She has no veil. In the background, the higher selves are doing everything that needs to be done. Our resistance comes from the fact that while we are our higher self, we're also dealing, while we are in this game, we're also dealing with the rules of the game. And everything feels very real here. This is why we're talking about this person, for example. She knows the truth, consciously knows the truth. Meanwhile, she's telling herself, come on, don't be crazy. Come on, that's not true. She just called you. Of course she's here. And here's Maxie. So she feels crazy, which if you notice, if you know, if you remember, this is what all of us have felt. And we talked about Bob. He came into the group late, so was already doing this work on his own. It's not like he wasn't doing it just because he wasn't hearing. He wasn't watching the videos and they were laughing. He was doing all this work. And what was he asking? Am I insane? Meanwhile, he knows he's not insane because otherwise he wouldn't be asking. An insane person doesn't know that they're insane. It's the same question we keep asking, or we no longer ask ourselves, but we have been asking ourselves for a long time, which is this real? Can this be real? Am I being crazy? This makes no sense. This is crazy. It can't be right. And meanwhile, we come to the point where we're like, well, this is the only explanation. Because we know, and again, we said, we go inside, we connected a million times. We're always connected. And we're like, well, yeah, this is it. You can't deny it anymore. But at the same time, when you're playing the 3D game, you're trying to tell yourself, no, but this is crazy. That can't be. Come on. I'm seeing people around. They have to be real people. And then the problem, we already said, even the people at 3D are acting weird. And you're like, crap, so it's got to be right. These people, why are they acting so weird? So you see, we're dealing with a lot. So it's a very real challenge for us, for sure. Lorrayne, thank you. I love the chess analogy. It's brilliant. Okay. We ascribe amnesia to trauma. Basically, the person's brain cannot handle a traumatic event and it erases the memory of it or locks it away so the person can continue to function. However, from an essence perspective, does it have to do with changing timelines? Or maybe the essence left the body and the body survived somehow? It must be the essence's intention for the body to survive. Or perhaps the essences change outcomes for the person in a way that we would call a miracle, in the sense that it bends the rules of this 3D reality. So the person forgets, like we forget and ignore all glitches. Why does amnesia happen? Me. Yeah, so it depends. Amnesia is just one of the tools that we use to realign our reality with what we want to believe. Reality is for ourselves, and it could happen that we run into a major glitch, basically, and we decide that we do not want to deal with that. And therefore, we create like a void. We're just going to forget. We don't even have to justify. We don't have to ignore. We'll just forget all the details about it. Absolutely. The higher self can do whatever it wants. Not only this amnesia thing, it's almost like when you run into miracles. It feels like something that's unusual. And so it becomes an interesting thing per se, where you're like, oh, look, that happens. So it's one of the fun things that we do here, that we can use here. Of course, not everybody has amnesia. Otherwise, it wouldn't be fun anymore. Say, okay, at some point in your life, you're going to get amnesia about something. Then we would be like, wait, what's up with that? We would even be looking more into it, right? And we don't want to look into things too closely. They were laughing. Because we're already sad, it's easy then to find the discrepancies where stuff doesn't make sense if we only look too closely, a little bit more closely than we like to do. So yeah, there could be many reasons, but at the same time, it is not as Clea was suggesting in one of the options that she was thinking of in her question. It is not that the higher self has to do that because it changes its mind and therefore it was going to leave, but then it's not going to leave. So we're deleting the memory. The higher self has a gazillion ways of fixing a situation, of making up reality. You can just, again, ignore it if you want to. So the higher self does not have to almost like, oh, this is the only way you can patch the situation. The higher self never has to do that. The higher self can redo reality in a split second. Just like we talked about the people going to 3D chambers, they're just going to believe that whatever we are living through right now, whatever they lived through before leaving, which was a year ago, happened to a previous generation. That's how easy it is. So no, amnesia is a choice. It's an experiential choice of the higher self, where they're like, this is what we're going to use. This is the experience I'm going to have you have. Not because he has to use that in particular instances, because that's the only solution. So it's a choice, basically. Lorrayne, you said many times that we do not know anything about love here, because when we think we are in love with someone, it's because this person can help us achieve our personal objectives that have nothing to do with love. Is it true of the entire matrix or only of this planet or 3D planets in general? Does a higher polarity allow us to feel real love? Me, no. Love is a tool that we use in the entire matrix. We already said we are all one. And in fact, Clea has a follow-up question where she says, love entails separation. It does. You must believe that there is another one from you, another person. So of course, it is a matrix game. Now, love is a frequency, but it's something that we like to think of as a high frequency or whatever it is, because we always assume that higher frequency is better than low frequency. We've already spoken about this at length. It's our judgment, of course. It's how we play the game. There's nothing wrong with that judgment. So we like to think of love as being this very high vibration, therefore something to aspire to, something that makes us feel good, etc., etc., which it does, at least for a period of time. And so no, this is a game that we play throughout the matrix. In fact, we already said that even though this planet has been so dark, even on other planets, the way that they experience darkness might be because of, it might not be that they were enslaved like we were here, but it might very well be, and this is what we're telling you, because of interpersonal relationships. Oh, you did this to me. Oh, I did that to you. Oh, how could you do this? This is what it is. So this is all based on the idea of love, right? That we like to have. So yeah, it is all about relationships. And therefore, love is an idea that is used in the entire multiverse to have certain types of experiences. Lorrayne, thank you. Okay, this is kind of a continuation of the previous question. Does love even exist, since we are all one and love presupposes separation and the presence of an other, quote unquote? Will we love on your earth? What is love if not simply just another frequency that brings us joy, like many other things can and will do on your earth? Me. Yeah, so love is a human concept. By human, we mean not just human, but a matrix concept. Love is a matrix concept. What we will know, what we will feel on your earth is the knowledge that we are one, and the knowledge that we have kinship with certain aspects of essence, with certain essences, because we have shared experiences and we have enjoyed each other through so many lifetimes. And so we might call that love. And we already said we'll feel love for all of us. Friends will be family and we'll live together, and neighbors will be our loved ones. We're all going to be living together. We already said this. So in that sense, you can describe it. Yeah, and people from the outside will describe it as, oh, they love each other. Absolutely. But what is love? Love is just a name. What we will truly know on your earth is that, my goodness, this is me. Lorrayne is me. Do I love me? And they were chuckling. Do I love Lorrayne because she is me, or do I love me? We won't even think about it in those terms. It's like this knowingness. It's just me. Do we love ourselves? We don't love ourselves the way that we think of love, do we? Because the idea of love requires the concept of separation. On your earth, we will not have that veil where we think of separation. Therefore, in that sense, in the way that the question is meant, we will not know love, because in order to have love, you must believe in separation. However, we will. We already talked about this. We will have mates, we'll have families, we will have our friends. Basically, we will be a family, what we think of family here. We will all be each other's loved ones. So what is that? Again, you can describe it as love. You can describe it however you like, but it's not going to be the same thing that we think of when we think of love on this planet, because everything, we already said, all our emotions will be heightened because we'll be so much more joyous to the nth degree, really. There's no comparison to how we feel here. And so we even said you will find your mate who's going to be this person who has done as much work as you, and you will have this kinship that will be incredible. And will you love them? Yeah. But will you feel differently towards them as you feel towards anybody else? No. Because everything will feel so amazing because you will know this is me. I am source. I am everything. I am everyone. So it's just a term. It's just a term that in the multiverse, we use to describe a certain experience or a setup for a certain experience we want to have. And it's just like hate, just like the word hate. What does hate even mean? It's just a feeling that we describe. It's a word we use to describe a feeling when we want to set up a certain type of relationship with somebody. We might say, oh, it's their fault, or it was because of the situation. It's all made up. As you know, everything is holographic. We make up everything to have these experiences. Love is the same thing as hate. It's just another feeling, another setup. So on your earth, we will not be playing these games. So therefore, you will not have love. You will not have hate. All you will have is understanding. But of course, you will also have joy. You will have pleasure. We already said you're going to have sadness. You're going to have all the emotions. It's not that you're not going to feel emotions all of a sudden. You're going to be a robot. But you're just going to understand that when you use these words, they're just words to express whatever experience you're having in the moment. But that experience will be based on a different type of consciousness, on a different type of awareness, on a different type of knowledge, where you will know it is all us. And that's why eventually we'll get to the point where we integrate all this darkness that's happened on this planet. And we'll be like, it is what it is. There will be that level of, we don't want to say level as it's more than anywhere else, but that type of understanding. And the same thing will be when it comes to love or mates or family, like your children or whatever it is. It's a different type of understanding. So yes, we'll call it love to understand each other. You know, if we're speaking with the aliens, we will know. We don't have to even talk about it. We will use these words. We'll be okay with other people using this word as well. But they will not be talking exactly about our understanding of how reality works. They'll be talking from their perspective, the way that we at 3D level will be talking about love or hate or anything else. So in that sense, love does not exist. Love is another made-up concept. But obviously, every made-up concept in the Matrix, we already talked about how we like to spin, twist, and rework ideas. We don't mean any negative connotation by the words we're using. We just mean we like to recreate ideas here based on what it really is in real, you know, the real life at the essence level. But we like to then rework them and twist them. And that's what's happening with love. So love in the Matrix does not exist in terms of what actually that energy really is, that knowledge really is. But we will experience that on your earth in that sense. But again, if you were to say, oh, we're going to go, which was the New Age spirituality concept, we'll go to New Earth and we'll all love each other. You cannot love each other on your earth because we are one, and we will be aware of the fact that we are one. Again, do you need to say that you love, like, would you be thinking of it that way? Oh, I really love Lorrayne. Ah, Lorrayne is me. We don't even need to talk about that, you see? Just the concept, really, when you think about it, the concept is not really going to apply for the simple reason that, again, love presupposes that you are not aware that Lorrayne is you, Lorrayne is me. I really enjoyed this explanation. I hope you did too. I thought it was very cool, where we basically graduate, quote unquote, to past the idea of love, because even that is very limited, because it's something that we want to believe in here, which is fine. It's part of the game and it's fun to be in love. So I get that. All right, Lorrayne. On that, will on your earth, even though we will be aware consciously that we are all one, will we still have individuation? Me, yes. Lorrayne, so is it more of, if you take the concept of mates, that you're spending more time with them than other parts, which you are aware are all you, is it more of an energy matching? Me, it's an experience matching. Lorrayne, experience matching. Okay, me. And work matching, if you want to put it that way. We are all one energy. There is no energy outside of us. So yes, but we understand what you're trying to say, which is, again, the way that we think about it here. Well, I spend more time with Lorrayne, and therefore I love Lorrayne. I'm more attached to Lorrayne than Jane over here that I never see. She's an acquaintance. On the earth, there will be no such difference, to the point that we already said, we will know that we are one with the team of the dark as well. And therefore, we already said that here, with the concept, when we think of somebody being special, he's our twin flame or soulmate or whatever. He is special. We're just making that up because this person is no more special than the mailman. On your earth, we'll be aware of that. Everyone will hold the same place. Will be as sad, understanding, of course, as sad when somebody leaves and decides to go somewhere else than when our mate leaves. There will be the same level of understanding. However, with our mate, we'll be able to have certain experiences. We already talked about the fact that our energy will be amplified, in the sense of everything will be amplified when we're with our mate, because we are so similar in terms of personality, in terms of work done, okay? So in that sense, yes, you can absolutely say that. But we already even said we could do this. We could even find a mate who was from the dark. But why will we not do this? It's not because they're bad people. We're past this, you already know now. They are us. The reason we want to do that, why we do want to be with somebody who has done our same work, is because we don't want to do work while we're on your earth. We don't want to use this as an experience, say, oh man, I'm going to have to figure out how to make Lorrayne finally understand that, fill in the blank. No. And they were laughing here. I don't want to deal with myself as I deal with Lorrayne. And then I have to tell myself, my goodness, but she's driving me crazy. We don't want to do this work. That's why we're going to be mating with essences that have done our same work, who will have the same understanding. We don't want to do any work. So in that sense, we'll say, I'm going to be mating, this is going to be my mate. I'm going to keep this mate forever as long as I'm on your earth. Because we don't need the experience of breaking up and whatever. We are on vacation. We don't want anything hard, really. After we do our integration, we're just going to want to have fun for thousands of years and take a break. Lorrayne, yay, it's going to be fun. Me. Yeah. So no, in that sense, again, love is a concept that, again, you can just call it that. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's not quite how we are going to see it on your earth. We will not love our mates more than we love other people, for example. This is the concept of separation that comes from the concept of separation we have here, which is, oh, but this person is special. We'll know very well that there is no one who is more special than anybody else on your earth, or in the matrix for that matter. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you as always for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.